I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. All right. I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. Welcome to the free astrotheology course. Okay. Our textbook is still The Gospel and the Zodiac, The Secret Truth About J.C. the Christ Figure. The author is Bill Darrell-El. All right. The link to the free PDF is in the description area of this video, along with links to my books that I've written on Ancient Ibaryath and my classes online and live. All right. 101 Ancient Ibaryath is the streaming class, and then I teach a Saturday class at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everybody's invited to come at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, so let's get started. We're going to continue, and we're going to finish up Sagittarius today from page 21 and 22. All right, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to go back and watch the other videos. So you can, the last 10 the last 10 videos. All right. So Sagittarius is where we'll begin. Page 22 in review. Sagittarius begins at chapter 11, verse 1, all the way through verse 26 of the same chapter of the book of Mark. All right. So the main incidents, according to the author, that make these verses Sagittarius is one, JC is seen or represented as a centaur. Sagittarius centaur, half man, half horse, so that's a hybrid. The teaching on faith, and then the event, the cleansing of the temple event. The zodiacal keywords in review are religious quest, foreigners, recklessness, philosophy, and associated with hips and thighs. All right, so let's get into it. Page 175. Page 175. This has to do with aura, the altar and the curse. So I'm going to post a couple images of aura. Aura is a constellation of stars, and it's represented as an altar. So in mythology, it's the altar where Zeus pledged his allegiance before he went to war against Cronus and the Titans. Cronus and the Titans. Okay, so here again we see hybrids, right, with the Titans. All right, so let's get into this. So aura is the page 175. The subheading is aura, the altar, and the curse. Now notice these relationships, scholars. The relationship between the fig tree incident, we discussed that in the video previous to this one, number 30. The relationship between the fig tree incident, that's where JC killed the fig tree, and the Sagittarian deacon, aura. So scholars, a deacon is only a constellation that's located near, a deacon is a constellation that's located near one of the zodiac signs, okay? So constellation is a cluster or group of stars, all right? So Ara is a deacon, or you can say Ara is the house next door to Sagittarius. You want to use that kind of analogy. A deacon is like your next door neighbor. All right, but it's a constellation, and it's very interesting that in religions, in Christianity, they have deacons, right? Titles called deacons. They're telling you astrology right in your face. Right? Deacons are constellations. For those of you good Christians, every time you say deacon, call someone deacon, you're referencing the stars. But the better question is, why didn't they tell you that? The relationship between the fig tree incident and the Sagittarian deacon Ara is quite striking. To the Romans, the word Ara meant altar. Altar, right? That's the place where people do sacrifices to their deities. And according to Cassius, the constellation Ara represents one of the altars raised by Moses. Okay, so altar represents, Ara represents an altar that Moses had built. Or the permanent golden altar in the temple of Jerusalem. How about that, y'all? The temple of Jerusalem, for you religious people. The temple in Jerusalem had a golden altar representing a constellation. Representing a constellation, a deacon. A deacon located next to Sagittarius. Who's Sagittarius? Well, JC, if you recall, rode into glory, and he's coming back in glory on a horse. Now, we discussed in this book many times the etymology of the word translated as donkey. Okay, now a donkey is a hybrid. So that's already problematic. Why so many hybrids associated with JC? And the biographical, the historical JC, why so many hybrids? Hybrids are not natural. They don't belong here. Islam to the Moors, Shalom, Solomon. Good to see you here. So let's make this clear. There's a golden altar. Gold clearly symbolizes the sun. Gold symbolizes the sun, just like the golden calf. The color gold is the sun. Okay? So a golden altar in the temple at Jerusalem. That was raised by Moses, or built by Moses. Now, next door to Ara, the altar is Sagittarius. JC is a solar deity. JC is a solar deity. Are y'all starting to see the relationships here? So a Christian might say that this altar, boy, those people were very rude. Maybe they're older, maybe they can't hear so much. Maybe they had a hearing problem. They just left. You see it's very quiet now. So the temple in Jerusalem, a Christian might think, well, since Ara is in the temple and it's golden, and the physical constellation is in the neighborhood or next door to Sagittarius, that prefigures JC, the Christ figure, the Messiah. Some people might say that. And if you're thinking that, I can understand why you would think that. So this coffee, I'm drinking black coffee, and it has a chocolate taste. I don't know if this has cacao. Cacao is the seed, or is the seed, the fruit rather, that chocolate is made from. It's very rare that that I get this one, but there's one coffee shop that always has this coffee. Actually, I prefer this one compared to other coffees, so I'm happy about that. Usually they don't have that. That's a different coffee that they gave me. So here we see potentially a prefiguring of JC, the Christ figure, in the temple at Jerusalem. All right. Too bad they didn't say whether this is the first temple or the second temple. We know that there was never a second temple. According to Moses, there was never a second temple. There was never a Maccabees. And all of that story, all of that created history about returning to Jerusalem, all of that history, you can delete it according to Moses. You can delete it. Never happened. All of the Maccabees never happened. Okay? All of the stories about JC, the Christ figure, never happened. At least not on that landmass. Watch the video that I did with Sarnetta if you want to know more about that. Okay? Search Zion Law School on YouTube. My channel right here. It'll take you to my home page. You just watch the video I did with Sarnetta. All right? And just watch that, and you'll see that it's all mythology. But the key thing to remember when you deal with JC and his birth in Nazareth, start researching the root word for Nazareth. And then follow it into modern times. You'll see an association with Nazi, Nazi. You'll see an association with Nazi. Why would JC being born in Nazareth? Y'all see that? So y'all research that out, and then you can look at the history of the Nazis, even the present history of the Nazis in North America. Okay? But anyway, let's continue. To the Romans, the word Ara meant altar. And according to Cassius, the constellation Ara represented one of the altars raised by Moses, represented an altar that Moses built, or the permanent golden altar in the temple at Jerusalem. Isn't it interesting that they say at instead of in Jerusalem? Isn't that interesting for those of you who study law? When you're dealing with jurisdiction, at Jerusalem. Some thought Ara represented the altar erected by Noah after the flood. Allen reckons that this association with this quote-unquote first altar helps to account for the prominence given to this visually unimportant constellation. In other words, why is the ugly duckling so important? Why is everybody giving this ugly beat up car so much attention? It's got to be something. It's not the way the car looks. Why so many people interested in this beat up looking ugly car? That's the point here. Okay, so let me do it again. Allen reckons that this association with this quote unquote first altar helps to account for the prominence given to this visually unimportant constellation. So y'all just imagine if you got a lot of bling, a lot of ice, as they say. And there's one that looked like it was made, let's say in the 1920s, really itty bitty stones. No shine to it at all. Who's going to recognize it? Why are people paying so much attention to it? Other than it might be the first piece of jewelry that the owner of that collection had. Y'all see it? Let's continue. So this guy Allen continues. Allen explains why Manilius is the ancient astrological author. I mentioned his book. What was it called? I'll go back through it another time. Explains why Manilius calls Ara Mundi Templum. Here's your temple. Mundi Templum. Your body is a temple. Quote unquote, the temple of the world. Let me repeat that. Key word is focus, y'all. First. Let's make the association. Sorry. I want y'all to think Hermetic laws. Think Hermetic laws. This is just an exercise in thinking. Allen reckons that this association with the quote-unquote first, altar helps to account for the prominence, first and prominence, first altar prominence, first altar prominence. Okay, it accounts for the prominence given to this visually unimportant constellation. It doesn't stand out. And explains why Manilius calls it Mundi Templum. In English, quote unquote, the temple of the world. This is found in Allen on page 63. First law, the first Hermetic law, is mentalism. Mentalism. All is mind. Allen reckons that this association with this first altar All is mine. Sacrifices are made concretely on the altar. All is mine. The temple of the world. Y'all get the point? The temple, your mind, the temple, your consciousness, your I am exists outside of your fleshly body, outside of your temple. The deity is supposed to enter the temple, right? The deity is supposed to enter the temple. But when you're doing wrong, when you're breaking the law, the deity does not enter the temple. When you're acting in your higher self, now remember, the Father is the I am. That's the silent observer. The silent observer, the witness. The witness, who's all the masculine energy. The masculine energy. Right? Who's observing you? Observing what? Observing what you manifest. Everybody see? Scholars, can you see what's happening here? This is your temple. Your temple houses the feminine mental energy. I know I harp on this a lot. But the reason why I'm harping on it is because I want you to understand. This silent observer, this Father, consciousness, of which a small part of the I just had the collective unconscious. Okay? Y'all remember we discussed this yesterday a lot, but other times too. And your feminine energy, you might liken it to your subconscious mind. Creates. It creates. Okay? But if you don't know your nationality, if you don't have a plan and you're working your plan, then somebody else's plan, meaning their masculine energy that's directed at you, will collaborate with your feminine energy, and you'll begin to work their plan, to think the thoughts and feel the feelings that they want you to have. And that silent witness, your I am, that never changes, that is eternal, the I be, the I exist, the I am, watches your becoming. Your creative feminine energy is always becoming, creating. Y'all see it? This is your temple. Your brain houses your mind, according to science today. But there's intelligence throughout your whole body. So everyone sees what's happening here. So we make sacrifices on the altar, do we not? We decide to do this and we decide not to do that. Nathan Sanchez, hi, I'm new. Shalom, Nathan Sanchez, welcome. Good to see you here. Islam to all the Moors. Across the planet, no matter what landmass you're on. Okay, I, self, law, and master, that goes back to mentalism. Everybody see the point? So let's continue. The temple of the world. What world? Are we talking about one world, the world of mankind? The world in terms of a nation or society? Or are we talking about the physical universe? The physical universe. How can we say it? Well, because there's no specification. There's no specification to a single world like the animal world. Y'all see it? So it's very general. So this applies to the world, the entire physical world. Your mind is the temple of the world. Mentalism, all is mind. I, self, law, am master. That's right. You are the master. You're the master. Let me rephrase that. You enter into the earth plane with the intent, or the intent of your entering into the earth plane is to be a master. A master of what? A master of natural law. Okay? A master creator. Isn't it interesting how the secret societies took that and made it negative? Isn't that interesting? A master craftsman. See, a craftsman creates. So when you learn how to use the natural laws, as we've covered in this book, also it says it in the Kabbalion, when you know how to use the natural laws, the essence of which is using higher laws to manipulate lesser laws. The higher laws are the 7 Hermetic principles or laws, using them to manipulate lesser laws. The lesser law would be something like cosmic habit force. Okay? Then you become a master. Right, got that? No religion involved. That's when you can create. For example, you create a cell phone. Such and such and such through knowledge of law. That's all I'm saying. Okay? So we as a people need to shift from this religious paradigm, return back to nature, and be ourselves. And who are we? We, I, self, law, am master. We are master creators. And this is why the psychological insults are constantly thrown at you in the media and from the time you enter into the public school system. Because these powers that you have, they don't want you to know you have them. Okay? And it is through making sacrifice on the altar. Sacrifices would be how you spend your time, how you spend your fiat, who you support. Group economics. You might have to sacrifice quality in the short term to become self-sufficient in the long term. Okay, moving from dependency to independent, moving from bondman, bondwoman, your current state, to your position as the rightful heir, the lawmaker, the sovereign. Okay? So this happens through sacrifice. And that requires will. You need the will to do it. That takes you back to the great I am. Do you see who you are, scholars? How many times Does it need to be told to you? Eventually, if you keep learning, this religious mindset will fall off of you. But it requires great willpower and courage. Unless you already got beat up and you ain't afraid to get beat up anymore. See, at some point you'll realize that you're going to get beat up and you're going to pay anyway. Right? So you're better off standing up like a man or a womb man and getting this beast off your back. Okay? So the eye, you need willpower. Willpower to study about your nationality, your heritage. You need to pull the trigger. You need to buy the books. Support the people you're learning from. How can you build an institution if you have no financial support, y'all? That's where the concept of Patreons. That's not Patreon. The website is not a new concept. That's ancient. But anyway, enough about that. You need to know who you are, your nationality. You need to know your jurisdiction. If you don't know your nationality, you cannot know your jurisdiction. You don't know your jurisdiction, you don't know your law language, which makes you a bondman and a bondwoman. It puts you against nature, and all of the negative consequences that follow that. Okay? So this is your temple. The silent witness observes what you create. With a weak self, with a weak masculine energy, meaning you don't know your nationality, your feminine energy will produce what is already produced. Mental images. Remember the workshop of the mind? Your mental movie screen? It's going to produce what is already produced from your conditioning, from your indoctrination. So you cannot sit on the fence and hope it gets better. It will get worse. Just like an infection that's untreated. It'll only get worse. Okay? And now you have, not now, but especially since TV and cinema, you have very powerful masculine energy directed at us, individually and as a people. And look at what it's done to us since the 1950s. Look at the impact it's had, that masculine energy. Okay? So this is what we're dealing with, y'all. Okay? Let's get back into it. So keep the temple of the world in your mind. The constellation, Ara, in the temple at Jerusalem, jurisdiction. The first altar, the golden altar, the sun. Visually unimportant. Okay, so you think that you're just one person. You're insignificant. You're unimportant. You're indifferent about your mind. Many of you don't even believe what I'm saying. You can't see your shine. You can't see your significance, right? You look in the mirror and you just see you. You don't see a God. You better start seeing a God when you look in that mirror. Otherwise, you're not dealing well with reality. I didn't say it. I didn't make it up, brother. It is what it is. That's Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. Psalms 82, 6. The rightful heir of all commerce, all land, all hereditaments, tangible and intangible, all contracts, all energies. You're the sovereign. Anyway, let's continue. Now, you know, we're dealing with polarity, right? So the opposite of honor is dishonor. See, you can make sacrifices on your altar that cause you to transmute and polarize rhythmically in honor, as the Christ, the golden color sun. Okay? Or the law of rhythm can take you just as high as you climb, can take you equally down into dishonor, depending on what? Your mind, what you put in your temple. Your physical body in terms of your diet, and what you consume intellectually or visually, media, scholarship. Y'all see that? Sacrifices on the altar in the temple of your mind and physical body. So let's get into this. Let's continue. But in Greek, the word ara means curse. Curse. Curse is an abstract term. Okay? Curse is an abstract term. Seiss writes of this constellation, this is Ara. The Greek used the word Ara sometime in the sense of prayer. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? But in Greek, Ara means curse. For the Romans, Ara meant altar. Altar is a place where sacrifices to a deity are made. But according to the Greeks, now remember the Greeks and Romans, they're supposed to be very similar, right? But according to the Greeks, Ara sometimes is used in the sense of prayer. That's talking to the deity, begging the deity, however you want to look at it. But more frequently, in the sense of an imprecation, a curse, or the effect of a curse. So where is all of this going? Or the effect of a curse. Curses are what? Punishments. What are punishments? What are punishments and curses? These are things that cause pain, that cause death, physical and civil, that cause loss, negative outcomes, misery, tragedy, bane, ruin, destruction. And Aeschylus, it is the name of the actual curse of Oedipus, personified. Personified, y'all, personified. Personified, that's taking something that's not a man or woman and giving it the characteristics and attributes of a man or woman. This information comes from Seiss, page 56 and 57. All right? So where is this going? Where is all of this going? It seems to be contradictory, right? Let's continue. Seiss informs us that the constellation Ara also has association with the altar of sacrifice. Y'all see that? Sacrifice. So now when we think in terms of the Bible, there are lots of sacrifices happening, right? Animal sacrifices, JC sacrifice. Let's continue. Let's see where this is going. And this link, that's the link to sacrifices. And this links the whole incident of the fig tree with JC when he killed the fig tree with the story of the cleansing of the temple. All right, so that story is at Mark chapter 11, verse 15 through 19, the story of JC cleansing the temple of the fig tree. So now I'm curious what this fig tree story has to do with cleansing the temple. What does it have to do with prayer and curses, etc.? Well, the curses part is quite obvious, right? Because he killed the fig tree. But is there more to it? Is he cursing you? Is there a curse on you? Or is he telling those in the inner house how to curse you? Y'all go back and watch number 30 that I did yesterday. The subheading, the cursing of the fig tree and the cleansing of the temple. Go back and watch that. Remember, Pisces duality. Sagittarius, he has a bow, that's weapon. He's ready for war. Okay, if you're going to go to war against someone, according to, what's the name of the book? It'll come to me. Are you going to let them know that you're coming to war against them? Or are you going to war against them silently? Maybe it's The Art of War by Sun Tzu. You're going to war against them silently where they don't know they're being warred against? You're going to use silent weapons so you can walk down the street at night and be safe, feel safe, don't have to worry about anything. Y'all see that? So let's continue. Let's continue. The Jerusalem temple was the center of Jewish, that's religion. So we're talking about JC's time or anytime after Babylon. Anytime after Babylonian captivity, right? And again, as I mentioned earlier, none of this stuff happened in Jerusalem. Jerusalem was destroyed according to Moses. Uninhabitable like Sodom and Gomorrah. The Jerusalem temple was the center of Jewish sacrificial worship. Now, y'all go back and read the Devil's Pulpit so you can see some of the techniques and gruesomeness and disgustingness associated with these sacrifices and how they did it. Blood, manure, urine, intestinal juices flowing into the priest's eyes, nose, and mouth all over his body while he does a sacrifice. This is what we're talking about. You can learn more about that in the Devil's Pulpit. I talk about it in some of my videos. Okay, so put this in context. Have in your mind images of the events and processes or techniques that actually happen so that this is not abstract to you. The Jerusalem temple was the center of Jewish sacrificial worship. The excesses of which, y'all got that? The excesses of which are attacked by JC in heroic Sagittarian fashion. So according to the biographical story, JC wasn't upset about the slaughter of the animals. He was upset about the excesses, about the money. About the commerce. Okay? Let's continue. JC casts out the merchants. Now, y'all know merchants. Do you see a root in there? Mer? Mer, as in marine, marina. Maritime law, as in ocean, as in seas. JC casts out the merchants, mermaids, Oannes. Another reference to the sea, right? That's my point. He casts out the merchants, overturns the tables of the money changers and the seats of the dove sellers. Now, these are common people. They're just in there transacting business. They're not elites. So why does JC come in with so much anger toward these common people? They're there buying and selling. Yeah, they're merchants. Buying and selling. Why didn't he show that same energy to the Romans who came to, arrest him? Why didn't he show that same energy to Pontius Pilate? Why didn't he show the same energy to those who beat him? Why didn't he show the same energy? I can't say why didn't he show the same energy to the people who put him up on the stake or the cross, because JC made his escape. JC bounced. And most likely it was Simon the Cyrenian who was hung up on the stake, which explains why that being that was hung on the stake, who you've been told is JC the Christ figure, that's why he wanted to get down off that stake. That's why all of a sudden he had no courage. To give his life. But the JC, prior to that, he was all in, ready to give his life, give up the ghost at any minute. In other words, he was talking tough. Now I'm just telling y'all, don't get mad at me. I'm just telling you the truth. So the character of JC before going on the cross or stake or hung as strange fruit, whatever your doctrine is, was very strong, ready to give up the ghost at any moment. But the character on that stake, cross, or strange fruit, on that rope, didn't have that same energy. Why? Because JC bounced. And we know it because of the grammar. Y'all can find more information on that in the Devil's Pulpit. All right, which deals with these topics from a literary and from a literary point of view, using philology. Okay, ain't no doctrine involved. Ain't none of that. Okay. So JC casts out the merchants, overturns the tables of the money changers, and the seats of the dove sellers. Common people he dogged out. But he didn't show that same energy, as I said, with the people who actually did him dirty. These money changers and dove sellers never did any harm to him, never slapped him, never beat him. never attempted to murder him. But those who did, even the elite Jews, J.C. Coward, what does this say about J.C.'s sense of justice? Is it just to pull out a whip, turn over the tables of the money changers and dove sellers, threatening with a whip? Maybe he hit some of them. Is that justice? Or would it be justice to do violence toward those who threatened and who did do violence toward him? Where's the justice? What's wrong with this picture, y'all? Use your analytical mind. That's not justice. Why? See, if JC is the deity, if he's literally the son of quote-unquote God, the son of Zeus, the son of Dios, or Dios, the son of Odin and Woden, why would you pick on these little nobodies who have no power and who never even did anything to you? Why would you pull a whip on them? But not do that with the elites. I'll tell you why. Because JC is on the side of the elites. There's a message in that. Okay, that's the hidden message in that. This is why you will hear many, not just me, who will tell you that when you begin to use your analytical mind and analyze these stories, you see that there's no justice here. This is an injustice. This is a problem with JC's character. This is the duality of Pisces. This is the warring of Sagittarius. JC comes into glory on a horse. Clearly Sagittarian. But let's continue. Let's read the footnote. In ancient Arabia, the two small groups of stars now making the head and the, looks like vein of the archer's arrow were of much note. Okay, so those two stars in the archer and Sagittarius arrow, which is the head and the vein, were of much note, so they were very important. They were of much note as relics of still earlier asterisms, as well as a lunar station. And Al-Jahari compares these figures to an overturned chair. JC overturned the chairs of the money changers and dove sellers. Y'all see that? The arrow is a weapon of war. The arrow pierces. The arrow, and JC in the story, overturns the chairs of the money changers. Do you see the astrology? Y'all see the astrology in that? Hence astrotheology, a biographical story, a false history made up to reflect the astrology. Y'all see that? Those two stars in Sagittarius arrow represented in earlier times the overturning of a chair. They remixed that into the biographical story of JC and said he came into the temple and overturned the chairs of the money changers and dove sellers. Why didn't he overturn Pontius Pilate's chair or the chairs of the elites in the temple? Why not? So again, another problem with the character of this biographical JC figure. But what's the message to this? Or what is the message in this to those who are in the inner house? The secret society members, the elites. The message is you punish the common people. Punish the common people. Specifically, hurt their commerce. Interrupt, interfere, disrupt their commerce. In other words, make it hard for them to make money. Give them fiat. Make it hard for them to have what they need on a day-to-day basis. Y'all see that? The disruption of commerce. Hence the administrative state. Hence bills of attainder. You get returned, escheated. And not only that, hypothecated. And made to believe that you got a debt. A national debt to pay. And you don't have an inheritance. So if you don't have an inheritance, what are you going to use? What are you going to use for commerce? You have nothing. You're born with nothing. And like most of the blacks, the African Americans, Latinos, and all of the other Moors, not about skin color. Not about skin color, y'all. Not about complexion. Don't get it twisted. Not about complexion. It's about being sprung from the soil. Most of our mothers and fathers, they're not leaving you anything. And those who tried, it was taken up in probate court and through attorney fees. And whatever was left of that, because of the sick mind of the people, they fought and stole from each other. Brother against brother, sister against sister. And destroyed what little they were given as an inheritance that was left over. Hold on, y'all. Let me let this sound go by. Give me one moment. All right? So that's the message in that. The elite, by the way, the elite are operating according to nature. Although in the negative way. These are the black priests, the Saturn Brotherhood. Okay? So interruption of commerce, theft of nationality, theft of birthright, all commerce. Do y'all see the correlation to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15 through 68? Everybody see that? Loss of nationality. You get a turn. Escheated. Everybody see it? Hit with bills of attainder. Loss of health. Silent weapons used against you to keep you afraid. Let's continue. JC prevents people using the temple precincts as a thoroughfare. And JC declares the temple a place, let me repeat that. And JC declares the place a den of thieves. A den of thieves. The temple no longer serves any valid religious function. Religious, y'all. Religious function. Your temple no longer serves any valid function in nature. other than you eating and sleeping. You go to work, just like a cow or a sheep or a hog on a farm. Most of y'all, that's all y'all think about. You get up in the morning, you go to work, you come home, you watch TV, you drink some beers, drink some cigarettes. Hope, I'm not going to say any other habits that y'all might have, but if that's your routine, you're operating at the level of a beast. I'm not trying to insult you, but I'm just telling you like a TI is. That's what animals do. So your temple, this one, is serving no valid function in nature. Why? First of all, you're watching TV. So what does that mean? What's the operation there? Narrative transportation. Narrative transportation. You're everywhere but in nature. You could be outside in nature. You could be studying any of the sciences. Law, linguistics, physics, aerodynamics, anything. But you're watching TV. Being programmed by their masculine energy. Producing the mentality, emotions, and feelings that they want you to have, including the behavior. They got you where they want you. And by the way, for you men who have a weak masculine energy, meaning you don't know your nationality, you cannot speak your law language, your jurisdiction, guess what that means? Guess what it means? You only have two genders. Masculine and feminine, mental energy. So what does it mean? It means that your big bad self is feminine in terms of your energy. So you're somebody's B until you straighten out and fly right, meaning you invest the time and energy until you discipline yourself, make the sacrifices on the altar that we talked about earlier, so that you can transmute from your unconscious feminine state where you're civilly dead and all the other negative stuff that go with that. So you can transmute by degree into honor. You return to the Most High, return to honor. That requires masculine energy, willpower, and a plan and a purpose. Unless and until you do that, and you do it consistently, frequently and consistently, like they used to say when I was in graduate school, you will be dominated by your feminine energy. And another man or another woman will continue to plant in you their seed thoughts, as they say in the Kabbalah. And you'll continue to think that they're yours. In other words, well, I'm not going to use the B word, but I hope y'all men know what I'm talking about. And I'm not saying it to insult you. I'm saying it to inspire you. Because no man wants to be, well, let me, y'all know what I'm saying. So y'all men, man up, all right? Make the investments. Turn that damn TV off. Stop listening to all of that disgusting music. Get your mind right. Okay. The temple no longer serves any valid religious function. Like the fig tree whose leaves deceive by promising fruit when no fruit exists. Now, I disagree with that. You know, by being in the tropical area a tropical country, many tropical countries, you'll see that, like a mango tree. Several months ago, I was in the province. Well, even here in Ho Chi Minh City, their almond tree. I mean, my goodness, everything is here. You get all kind of stuff from trees everywhere. They got almond trees everywhere, mango trees everywhere, jackfruit, durian everywhere. You name it. All the trees have leaves, y'all. There's no deception about that. I think it was maybe in January. I don't remember. I was in a province here. There was a big mango tree. And it had leaves on it. And little bitty bud mangoes like that. All right? They're not ripe. Tree was not in season, but it had leaves. I came back maybe 2 months later, something like that, had these huge mangoes on it. And people would pull over on the road, and there was somebody there that had a big thing, and they would like go up, get with the big stick with a hoop on it and a basket, and they would pull the mangoes down and people would buy them. Unlike in the Philippines. In the Philippines, I saw the people climbing the tree to get the mangoes. That's crazy. Or they throw a rock. But anyway, it had leaves. So this story is deceptive. That's my point. It's deceptive. Now, in my part of the world where I come from, in the fall, the trees, leaves will turn yellow to brown, and they fall off. And now the tree has no leaves. But that would occur in the autumn, in the fall. But here in Southeast Asia, the trees always have leaves. Always. So this is deceptive. This idea that the fig tree having leaves deceived? No, that's not true. All right, so let me continue. Like the fig tree whose leaves deceive by promising fruit. No. These trees have leaves even though they're out of season. When no fruit exists, at least let me rephrase that, in the tropical place, I've never seen a tree without leaves. Never. Any time of the year, never. The temple's beauty and ostensible commitment of spiritual values are mere hypocritical sham. Okay? I don't think I need to say anything else about that. But what about you? What about your temple? What about your temple? With a weak masculine energy, you're in dishonor. Period. You're in dishonor. And you're civilly dead. And you're under the jurisdiction of maritime admiralty canon Christian law. The Constantine Christians. Okay? That's a very ugly situation for you and your heirs and your kinfolk. Very ugly and dangerous. It's not a house of prayer for all nations. Y'all see that? The temple is not a house of prayer for all nations. Y'all got that? Not a house of prayer for all nations. Well, what is your temple? What is your body temple? What is your mind? The temple here in your mind. I, self, law, and master. Forget about prayer. Think about power, intent, will, creation, Think Psalms 82:6. A house of prayer, the temple in Jerusalem is supposed to be a house of prayer for all nations. That's to benefit all nations, right? That's correct? Is that correct? So your mind temple, when in honor, creates peace and security, wealth, comfort, luxury for yourself, for your heirs, for your kinfolk, for your nation, your bloodline, and everyone else. But in dishonor, it is not a house of prayer for all nations. You are a bondman and a bondwoman. You're good for nothing. Except for what? To give your labor as energy to your masters. It is not, quote unquote, a temple of prayer for all nations. Note the Sagittarian expansiveness. Y'all see that? The Sagittarian expansiveness. Okay, it's not just a temple for the Jews alone, but for all nations. Hence the Christian doctrine, JC came to give life, everlasting life to the world, not just Israel. That's where that expansive doctrine comes from. Y'all see the parallel? Note. Echoing Manilius Mundi's, echoing Manilius's Mundi Templum, temple of the mind. The temple of the mind. But a commercial enterprise based on the notion that capital God, or that Zeus or Dios, Odin, Woden, is to be approached through the killing of animals. Y'all got that? Y'all see that? Y'all see that? It is not a house of prayer for all nations. Note the Sagittarian expansiveness, echoing Manilius's Mundi Templum, but a commercial. See, it is not a house. It is not a house of prayer for all nations. No. You're in dishonor. You're in dishonor. So it's not a house of prayer for all nations. It is a commercial enterprise. Y'all see that? Commerce, maritime admiralty, canon, Christian, law, corporations. Your temple, your body temple, the temple of your mind, is for commercial enterprise, for commerce. That means your energy has been transmuted to commercial energy based on the notion that Zeus, God, capital God, Odin, Woden, all equivalents, etymologically, or you might say Sirius the dog star, based on the notion that these external deities are to be approached through the killing of animals. In other words, In other words, religion is the mechanism by which you have been transmuted out of the jurisdiction of nature into the jurisdiction of civil death, and having no practical use at all, no value at all, but to be used as a cow, a sheep, goyim, Genesis chapter 1, but for your energy to be used for someone else's benefit, enjoyment, pleasure, and gain. You've been transmuted out of the jurisdiction of nature into the jurisdiction of religion, admiralty, maritime, etc., canon Christian law. Through your ignorance, through your worshiping external deities, through your sacrifice or killing of animals. That's religious, y'all. Whereas what you should be doing is acknowledging that I, self-law, am master, and following the Most High's commandments. Why? Because that's natural. That's nature. They're equivalents. So to disrespect yourself, excuse me, is corruption of the blood. That's the worst thing you can do, is disrespect yourself. What form does that disrespect of self take? It takes a form of worshiping external deities. Y'all see it? Thinking that your sacrifices to them, be it animals or other, is going to get you into the so-called kingdom of God. All right, you're breaking the first and most important of the commandments, which is don't worship these external deities. Why? Because I, self-law, am master. Okay? You are a condensation of the all in this life form, limited only by the limitations set on your physical body and what? And your mind, whatever they might be. But you don't know what those limitations are, do you? Because you have faculties of the mind that you don't even realize are present. Because you're in dishonor in religion. Is it clear about the temple, y'all? About Ara and the temple? The temple of the world? The temple of the world? See, all is mine. So that means any material thing, tangible or intangible, that's of the mind. That's of the world. The world is a physical universe, including the energies, including consciousness. Everybody see that? So the temple of the world, mind, your mind, that exists outside of your fleshly body, that never changes. This is the I am. This is the I am that's been hijacked by the Tetragrammaton. Y'all got it? This is the I am that has been hijacked by the Tetragrammaton, all coming from nature, the Hermetic principles, masculine and feminine. Anyway, let's continue. Mental gender. Let's continue. This incident has long proved troublesome to the conventional commentator. These are Christian commentators. Okay? So this incident about the overturning of the money changers, for a number of reasons. The first reason concerns its consequence in the narrative. Note this, y'all. See, did this happen at the beginning of JC's gospel, the biographical, historical JC? Did it happen at the beginning of his ministry? Or did it happen in the middle or the end? Let's continue reading. The first concern is its sequence in the narrative, beginning, middle, or end. Matthew and Luke, following Mark, meaning that Matthew and Luke use Mark's gospel as a template, place it at the end of JC's ministry. All right? So Mark, Matthew, and Luke have the incident about the overturning of the money tables at the end of JC's ministry, just before his passion and death. So if JC was flexing with the whip and all of these other things with the money changers, and then the next event was the passion, why didn't he flex with physical violence then? Energy changed. We already discussed why. John, the Gospel of John, in other words, John, on the other hand, puts it right at the beginning, just after the miracle in Canaan. So this is John chapter 2, verse 13 through 17. So John says that this incident happened at the beginning of JC's ministry, right after he turned water into wine at the marriage feast of Cana. Matthew, Mark, and Luke has that incident happening at the end. John has that incident happening at the beginning. This is a problem, y'all. This is a problem. This is supposed to be a biography. This is supposed to be a real life story. Y'all see that? So somebody is lying. There's fraud here. There's perjury. So who committed perjury? John, Matthew, Luke, or Mark? Who committed perjury? Somebody committed perjury. There's obvious fraud. So when there's fraud that takes place in a contract, is that contract void? According to law, is the contract void when there's fraud? Absolutely, it's a void contract. So now your New Testament or your new covenant, your new contract is void due to fraud. It is unenforceable in law. It's unenforceable in law. Did JC do it twice? In other words, is this really fraud taking place? Was perjury committed? Remember, this is testimony. They testified. They testified about the biographical information about JC, the Christ figure. This is testimony memorialized in the Gospels. So let's see how they finesse it. Let's see if this can withstand the scrutiny of analytical thinking. Did JC do it twice? Is John's placement of the incident purely symbolic? Oh, now how can you do any type of analysis If if things can be real and symbolic at the same time, or either or, as needed. Y'all see the finesse? So what does this tell you? Use your common sense. The explanation that the author is giving here, or one of the explanations, is that John placed it at the beginning for symbolic reasons. If you accept that as true, what else in these biographical stories are symbolic, meaning they never happened? Or they happened, but it was changed. The story was altered in terms of chronology, sequence, or content. Y'all see the bag of worms? So now you're in a position where you can't believe any of it. You have to throw the whole thing away. But what do they want you to do? They want you to transport yourself into the narrative, okay, and brainwash yourself. Who can argue with you if you brainwash yourself? Nobody. Y'all see the trickery here? The treachery? For the historically minded, that's all you good Christians and Hebrew Israelites who look at these stories as being not a log detailing the journey of the sun through the Mazarah, the Zoad, the Zodiac, but as biographical, historical, real history in nature. For the historically minded, that's you who I just mentioned, these are not easy questions to answer. Obviously not, because fraud. There's fraud. There's deception. It voids the contract. It makes the new covenant void. From the start. But the problem is compounded. Okay, it's going to get worse, y'all. Even further when we consider that JC, the Christ figure, would not have been able to accomplish this feat easily. In other words, JC could not have turned over those tables. There's a barrier for him to be able to turn over those tables. Well, let's see what the author says. Or let's see why would this have not been easy. The temple precincts were very heavily guarded. So the guards, they just sat there and watched him overturn the money tables. They just sat there and watched him pull that whip out. And they didn't do anything. They didn't say a word. Is that likely, y'all? Is that likely? Now remember, I'm talking about the money. The money. You're talking about the money, the commerce. You're talking about these wicked priests who are getting rich off this commerce. You think they're not going to have that place heavily guarded to protect the money? Come on, y'all. You think those guards, those soldiers, would not have taken action to stop that? To stop JC from overturning the money? They're going to lose the money. What are you going to do if you're the low-level soldier and you sat there and you watch somebody turn over the money and beat the money changers with a whip, or attempt to beat them with a whip, threaten to beat them with a whip, threaten the dove sellers? They're selling the doves to get the money under the pretenses of forgiveness of sin. Okay, now let's say you're the buyer. Let's say you committed adultery and you need that dove. Or in Christianity, you committed some gross sin And you're trying to buy that dove to buy back, to get in good graces with the deity. And then this dude comes, turns over the table. And now here you are stuck in your sin. You just going to stand there and let that happen? Or you going to try to get that dove so you can get get forgiveness? If you're a low-level soldier and you sit there and you watch that happen, what is the person who's in charge or responsible for you going to do to you? What's the penalty for that? What's the person who's in charge of the person who's in charge of you? What are they going to do to him for letting you do that? It goes all the way up. So this is very unlikely to have happened. I agree with the author on this. And the troublemaker, so JC would have been considered a troublemaker, right? Because he was going against the established Jewish doctrine at that time. And everybody knew him. So y'all think they wouldn't have been watching him when he stepped foot in the courtyard and in the temple? Even when he got close to it, y'all think they would not have known? And a troublemaker would have been whisked away at the first hint of a disturbance, right? Because ain't nobody gonna, if you're a soldier, if you're responsible, you're gonna let this known troublemaker come in and mess you up, get you into problems? Obviously not. Look at it in today's time. Okay? They're gonna handle you, get you out of there. But y'all Christians are probably thinking, well, they couldn't because he's God's son. And it wasn't time. It wasn't time, right? My goodness. The incident's most problematic aspect, however, okay, so it gets worse. This is the climax of it. Concerns the unfamiliar side of JC's character that it seems to show. So this is what I was just talking about. Bad character. And I would agree with the author here. This is the worst part of the story. I need to catch my breath. Give me 1 second, y'all. Y'all gonna have to wait. You know when you're talking, and sitting down, it requires a lot of energy. So give me a second. We're going to finish Sagittarius today. All right. So did he really say that? Did JC really, as John says, take a whip to these people? John chapter 2, verse 15. What happened to the turning of the other cheek? So JC told the masses of the people, when somebody slaps you, turn the other cheek. But when JC got mad, he pulled out a whip. Now remember, JC and his apostles are in the inside of the house. You are on the outside of the house. On the inside of the house, okay, these are the secret societies, the elites. They can use violence. But you on the outside of the house, you need to turn the other cheek. You need to be passive. In other words, you need to let them slap you again. But that's not what JC did he? JC acted according to natural law, where physical violence is required. in some circumstances. Okay? In some circumstances. Y'all see that? But not for you on the outside. What happened to turning the other cheek? Could JC get angry? Mark makes no specific mention of anger, but JC's actions here are not those of a restrained and passive person. See, you, the good Christian, you're supposed to be restrained, passive. Pick up your torture stake and carry it. Be loving to everybody. Don't get angry. Give yourself high blood pressure. Give yourself a stroke, heart disease. Give yourself any of the chronic illnesses because you don't express anger in a healthy way. Suppress it, keep it inside. Take yourself out early so your masters don't have to worry about you ever getting wise and seeing what's happened. Why? Because you expired early. And you can't transfer that knowledge to the next generation. So they want you to expire early. That keeps them in power. JC is indeed angry, justifiably so. See, y'all? According to nature, according to justice, sometimes you need to get angry and express it. Righteously so. Y'all see that, good Christians? And JC defends the cause of real religion. Against the charlatans. JC defends the cause of real religion against the charlatans. Ain't no real religion unless you talk about astrology, unless you talk about nature. All right, y'all. Many of you good Christians, y'all accept that the celestial bodies are used for signs and seasons. That's one of their functions. Used for signs and seasons. That means you look up into the stars, you look up into the heavens, you should be able to identify stars or constellations. How else would you be able to read the signs and the seasons? All religions are a remix from one template. And that one template is the Mazzaroth, the Zodiac, the Zoad. I talked about that. Y'all go back and watch the other videos. They all come from that. Religion is a religion. Mythological. Based in astrology, hence astrotheology, being not only in Christianity, Islam, but all of the major Western religions. Y'all heard? And the mind sciences in the Eastern, solar worship and all. Mind science is also in Christianity. Why? Because they stole it. Clear? Clear? Let's see what else does he say. I lost my spot. Okay. I lost my spot. Here we are. He defends the cause of real religion against the charlatans. Those were the priests The Sadducees and the Pharisees, right, y'all? The charlatans. Who are the charlatans now? The religious people and the atheists. Incurring the wrath of the authorities in the process. Mark chapter 11, verse 18. Incurring the wrath of the authorities in the process. In the process of what? Defending true religion. And y'all remember, JC is a solar deity. The sun, the S-U-N sun. Remixed into the S-O-N sun, which still has its original astrological meaning as a disk in the sky. In one of the Germanic languages, one of the Germanic languages and or Dutch, something like that. Y'all research it, easy to find. JC says, I am the truth, the way, and the light. Anyone who wants to come to the Father must come through me. I am the truth, the way, and the light. All right? You're told to follow JC's footsteps closely, right? What are we getting from this? JC in his capacity as the truth, the way, and the light, this is the solar deity. The non-biographical, the astrological JC, the astrological or the Gnostic Sabian, as in Sabian Moors, the original story of JC. I am the truth, the way, and the light. Anyone who comes to the Father must come through me. In other words, you must come through the truth, you must come through the light, and you must come through the way. I am the truth, the way, and the light. So he tells you, I am what? I am. That sound familiar, y'all? I am. The masculine gender energy. That sound familiar? I, self-law, am master. Honor. The Christ. Dishonor, Satan the devil. Darkness, ignorance. Light, intelligence, honor, right? I am. What is JC? The truth, the way, and the light. Anyone who wants to come to the Father, and by the way, there's a Trinity, right? The original Trinity, JC is baby JC, mature JC, and elderly JC, right? Sunrise, the sunrise, baby JC. Sun at its highest point in the sky, 12 noon. JC is teaching in the temple. The light, the sun is at the highest place in the sky during the 24-hour day. So the light is everywhere. Y'all see it? In terms of the year, and is it June 21, y'all? Is it June 21? The northern part of space. It's zenith or the Christ. Right? Ruben Soriano writes, you got my heart, my mind. I think about the time. Okay. So anyway, I'm not going to read that. I don't. Can you clarify what you mean, Ruben? Clarify what you mean. Okay, y'all. So my point is this: if you want to come through the Father, you must come through the what? The truth, truth. The truth is always nature. The immutable laws of nature. It's a song. Okay. All right. Thanks, Ruben. I'm not familiar with that. But thanks for the comment. The truth is nature. The immutable laws of nature. When you act in harmony with nature, to thine own self be true. Y'all remember that? And thou cannot be false to any man. That's honor. If you are outside of your jurisdiction, meaning you have a weak masculine energy, you're identifying as anything other than what your bloodline is, you're in dishonor. So I am the truth. The way is the Zodiac. That's the Maserah. The Zoad. Y'all see it? In my Father's abode, there are many mansions or houses, however you want to translate it. 12. Specifically, in the Maserah, 12 zodiacs. They all have their constellations or deacons. I am the truth, the way, and the light. What light? The sunlight. And JC is the light of the world. Light is intelligence, being enlightened, knowledge of the sciences, not doctrines. So if you want to come to the Father, the I am who exists outside of your physical body, the silent witness, the observer who watches what your feminine energy creates, what your feminine energy manifests. You want to come to this Father, you better come in truth, in the way. That's the Zodiac. You better come in nature. You better come with an understanding of the Zodiac. And you better come with light. You better come with the knowledge of the sciences. If you want to know who you are, anyone who wants to come through the Father must come through me. I am the Christ. Who are you? Do you know who you are? You are a Christ. All of us have the capacity to be the Christ. Many, if not most of you watching this video, you are devils. You're in dishonor. You're in low vibration. And that's just a fact. You're involved in religion. You have no respect for natural law, no desire to learn natural law. You have no truth in you. You watch TV all day. You watch entertainment all day. Your mind is someplace else. In some narrative, Harry Potter, or whatever your favorite TV show is, or maybe you listen to music, rap music all day. I am the way, the truth, and the light. Anybody who wants to come to the Father must come through me first. The Father, and this is the last time I'm going to say it because I know I've said this a million times. The Father is you, the essence of who you are. The Father does not change. Who am I? I'm the present generation of my ancestors who came before me. That's who I am. I'm sprung from the soil. Therefore, my jurisdiction is natural law. If you ain't talking about that, you ain't talking about nothing. If you want to know who you are, see, this is the power, y'all. This is the power. The I am, the silent observer. The witness against you. Okay, and the witness for you. Never changes. This is the I. I'm talking the Hermetic laws. This is the I. B. B does not change. Being. There's no change in that. This is you. Minus the moods. Minus your beliefs. Correct or incorrect. Real or unreal. Minus your moods. Minus your likes and your dislikes. This is the eternal you. This is your masculine mental energy. Masculine is what? Father. In order to know the Father, that eternal you. Can y'all hear me? That eternal Father. Can y'all see the remix with the religion? I am the way, the truth, and the light. Anyone who wants to come to the Father must come through me. Who is me? The Christ. Who is the Christ? The summer solstice. Who is the devil? The winter solstice. Same nature. Y'all see that? Same nature. Same thing. Vibration. Everything vibrates. Everything is in constant movement. Transmute. Transmutation. The law of rhythm. How do you come through the Christ? You use the law of rhythm. All right, y'all. I just got a sign that I was disconnected. I don't know if y'all heard anything. I'm going to continue. I don't know what you missed. I'm going to continue. By using the law of rhythm, you can move from where you're polarized rhythmically at now in dishonor. Anywhere along here you're in dishonor. You can rhythmically move up to honor and polarize rhythmically and honor as the Christ. Anyone who wants to come to the Father must come through me. I am the way, the truth, and the light. That's honor. So you transmute from dishonor to honor. You become the Christ, and now you can go to the Father. Who is the Father? The eternal you. Your I am. Is that clear, scholars? Is it clear? This movement, this transmuting, the creating, you becoming involves feminine energy, right? The feminine energy creates, okay? The feminine energy creates. You're always becoming. Okay? So as you begin to learn who you are and speak the jurisdiction of your ancient ancestors publicly, I self-law am master. As you begin to self-govern, as you begin to self-govern as a sovereign, not sovereign citizen, as a sovereign, as in the rightful heir. You self-govern. You don't need anybody to govern you. You're honorable at all costs and at all times. At all costs, meaning even though you may have to give up something to stay in honor. Be it your time, to go in nature, turn the TV off, watch the videos that I produce, watch House of Reawakening Minds with Dr. G, or watch Light, watch Light, or whoever. You start studying. That's costing you time. Ain't nothing free. No more free, as they say in Asia. No more free. Right? Y'all see it? Build up that masculine energy. Build up your eye. The only way you're going to learn to speak the jurisdiction of nature, the only way you're going to be yourself, who am I? What does Prophet Noble Drew Ali say when he says be yourself? Well, who is yourself? I self-law am master. Mentalism. All law. The collaboration of masculine energy with feminine energy. Y'all see it? In honor manifests the Christ. You know the Father, you know you're eternal. You know you're eternal. Anyway, I think I made that point enough. I'm going to move on from it. From those of you who are offended, I have nothing to say to you. But to those of you who are learning, congratulations, and continue, because there's much, much more on these topics. All right? I self-law am master. Okay? That's who you are. That's who I am. We are meant to be the Christ, not devils. All right. So y'all remember, my point is this. Oh, I forgot to make this point. Whatever these religious people did to the Christ, not the biographical Christ. Well, let's include that. Whatever harm they did to him for being in honor, I'm not talking about the dishonorable things like the deception, but the honorable things they will do to you. Understand that. It was not foreigners who brought JC into the temple and had him delivered to the foreigners, to the Romans. It was the Israelites, the other Jewish people. So whatever they did to the Christ, these dirty Moors, Negro, blacks, and coloreds, Latinos, etc., who are in dishonor, they will do to you. Y'all see it? In other words, they will betray you, lie on you, beat you, turn you in, falsely accuse you. Why? Because you're the light. You're in the light. Every time they see you, they're reminded of who they are, but what they're not doing. They may feel envy or jealousy in a way that makes them feel hurt. Your shine hurts their eyes. Your shine hurts their feelings, makes them feel less. The only way to relieve that pain in their mind, or the easiest way to relieve that pain in their mind, is to falsely accuse you, or turn you in, or do something else, whatever it might be, that they think will destroy your reputation or cause your demise. Right? See, a student is not greater than his follower. Although the Christ said, you will do greater things than I. That's my point. So everyone should be trying to know who their masculine energy or their I, the Father, is, not religion. I'm talking about you. You know who your feminine energy is, right? You deal with that all the time. How you feel, what you think, what you believe. You're very familiar with your habits. Get to know the Father. And that's you, not some external deity. All right? Incurring the wrath of the authorities in the process, that's Mark chapter 11, verse 18. And demonstrating that the Sagittarian phase of the spiritual life demands tireless warfare. Y'all got that? The Sagittarian phase of spiritual life. That's y'all suffering. Involves warfare against all religious cant and spiritual quackery. All right, notice this. The author mentions a couple of famous people, and there's this quote. Sagittarian warfare, or the Sagittarian scourge. This would be the what? Spiritual quackery, as it were. Sagittarian quackery, warfare. Scourges take the form of irrational, divisive, cruel, and myopic religion. Y'all see that? Religion, warfare. In times past, it was physical warfare. Now, it's almost completely psychological warfare, silent weapons, masculine energy, masculine mental energy, and what? And causes Causes such as fake history, causes, whatever forms they may take, causes, well, let me include in the fake history, the historical Jesus, the biographical Jesus. Etc., etc., etc. All of the fake histories that we've been taught in school. All of the fake sciences. These are causes. Causes meant to affect your psychology. Okay, someone writes, hi, hello, hi, shalom. Okay, yo? These are all causes. So this person writes, can you please do me a big favor? What's the big favor? What is it? So these are all causes. Causes that are meant to have an effect on you without you knowing. Without you knowing that someone is creating causes. Or effects in your life. You're never supposed to find this out. The only way you would find it out is by studying the Hermetic laws and studying nature. Everybody see that? Using the mind, as we went into yesterday in number 30. This, who is the man with the jar of water? Number 30. Using the mind to effect a certain mentality, values and beliefs, and set of behaviors and habits. Okay? So the masculine energy is put out there through media, through stories, religion, and then causes are put in place. Manufactured things that they do to reinforce or to make you believe. All right? Let's see. Anything else I want to do with this? Or let's see, am I finished? So the author acknowledges what I'm saying about nature. And actually what Noble Drew Ali said. He says, when you finish studying everything, study yourself some more. So on page 177, we read, human nature, Han Uman nature, the nature of the hybrids. But let's replace the Han Uman with the nature of man, I, self, law, and master. The author writes here, what a study. What a study. This is what I just told y'all, all of us need to do. We need to be studying so that we can get to know the I am, right? The I be, the I exist that never changes. The consciousness that exists outside of our temple. All is mine. This is consciousness, city consciousness, whatever you want to call it. Infinite intelligence, whatever you want to call it. Okay? The nature of man, what a study. Anyway, y'all, that's all I got. Exit religion. Exit religion. Get in honor. Get out of dishonor. Return to the Most High. Return to the Most High. I implore you, exit any and all religions. Use the techniques, the therapies that I discussed before. Even if it's nothing more but going to a therapist to help you deal with your challenges. Do the Hermetic laws. Practice them. All right? Give yourself a chance to witness evidence that what I'm teaching you is true. You'll only get the evidence by practicing it. Read the book. Listen to the audio book. As often as you need to understand it. And then don't stop there. Do it. Do it, do it, do it. So you can get the evidence for yourself. That's the most important thing. Put yourself in a position to be shown evidence. All right? So that you're not a believer. There's no honor in believing. There's no value in believing. Unless, of course, you believe in yourself. But the belief in yourself results in evidence. All right? And the more you believe in yourself, it's no longer believing. You exit the state of believing. That's only at the beginning. Until you get enough experience, enough evidence. Now it's not belief anymore. Now it's knowing. I know. From the evidence. All right? So y'all make sure support my project to write the book of the law in Ancient Ibaryath. Okay? So what you see me doing, this is all related to linguistics, Ancient Ibaryath, the Hermetic laws, and the philology. All of these things is too much to mention right now. But you absolutely must learn the book of the law, Ancient Ibaryath, and the linguistic techniques and concepts. Okay, so subscribe to the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course. You got to pull the trigger. I'm not charging you a lot of money, right? Or fiat. It's minimum cost. It's $10 minus all the fees that I need to pay just to maintain the website and the technologies. Okay? It's not a big investment in yourself, but you need to invest in yourself. Show up on Saturday at 10 a.m. 506 the Curses class. The links to everything are in the description area of this video. Buy my books, not just for yourself, but for your heirs and kinfolk. So support my ministry so I can keep doing this and make it more professional, and so that it becomes more, less of a burden for me. Okay? So if you're learning, do it. If you're not learning, of course, don't do it. Unless you see the value and you want to help others. All right? Islam to all the Moors, and Shalom. And everybody who supported me up until now, I want to say thank you. Thank you for your support. And those of you who will support, thank you also. All right.